Welcome back, Love Nation. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you to everybody that has been coming to my channel, sharing your comments, becoming a member of this channel. We are definitely growing in 2022, and I just want to say thank you to everybody. Now, there were, excuse me, there were a lot of developments today with Johnny Depp. His closing today actually was very impactful, even though I think that some parts could have been polished. Overall, I think that the overall arching theme for, what his attorneys were trying to put on definitely came across to be extremely credible. I also believe that his witnesses definitely um put their best foot forward, and it's a really huge difference with his witnesses versus Amber's. Tonight I'm going to actually play you guys a little bit of a clip from each witness, and I am going to let you guys chime in on what you heard today. Also, one of the biggest things to take away from today was Johnny Depp got back on the stand. I will definitely be playing a lot of what happened when he got on the stand. And, let's just go. Let's just share this because this was a lot to take in. And like I said, like, share, and subscribe. Let's just go ahead and, try to, uh, you know, get the full picture of what happened today. So first I'm going to show his, I don't know, Dr. Curry was his psychologist, psychiatrist, I don't know what she is, but baby girl definitely did what she needed to do on that stand. I'm going to go ahead and play some of her testimony and come back with my comments.
But that in and of itself would not indicate a diagnosis. However, the configuration of her scores overall is consistent with that. And in fact, it's one of the diagnostic suggestions given by the test itself. And then also there's a configuration around Ms. Hurt's trauma responses on that particular test, which demonstrates that it is more likely that those symptoms were reported in relation to something in the distant childhood. It's more consistent with childhood chronic abuse than present circumstances or recent circumstances.
Okay, I think you.
All right, so talking about this, she's basically blowing off the claim. I'm sorry. She is explaining the claim that Amber Heard had PTSD. Her testing showed that was actually not true. She was suffering from other things that had nothing to do with PTSD, which, for example, a lot of people that may have been, for example, in the military, have gone through. We all know that as an example. Another example could be, say, paramedics, police officers, people that have to deal with trying to assist in a trauma like atmosphere, a combative atmosphere, just a high, you know, heightened awareness of something is about to go down type of profession.
Said in addition to uh, the the issues with her own testing, Dr. Hughes misrepresented your results.
She did.
Can you tell us how?
So, well, I would say the main issue was that she said that Ms. Heard obtained a normal profile on my MMPI-2.
How do you disagree with Dr. Hughes relative to the profile?
Okay, so the profile was not normal. So Ms. Heard already had subtle elevations just by the test by itself as it came out. There were subtle elevations, but they were elevations that if the validity scales hadn't been as elevated as they were, you might have said this person has some traits, but this isn't necessarily at the level of a true pathology. However, Ms. Heard elevated a scale that essentially is a defensiveness scale on this test. And when you're giving this test, you always are mindful of different norms or groups who may have similar profiles. And there are certain groups of litigants who tend to elevate this scale as well. So I had that in mind. However, Ms. Heard elevated this so much that it was far beyond the mean for the litigants that are known to have the highest levels of this scale, this defensiveness scale. And when this scale is elevated to the level that it is, you automatically understand that it is very likely that those clinical scales, I keep doing this because I'm seeing it in my head. It looks like sort of an ECT. It's sort of these peaks you see on a graph. And when you see these peaks and you have this huge peak over here for the defensiveness scale, what you know is that these peaks are artificially, they've been lowered or suppressed based on the respondent being so defensive. They still detected what's likely there for her, but it's not as high as it should be. So you make an adjustment. And the recommendation is that anything at 60 or above, we call it a T-score of 60 or above, is considered significant. Ms. Hers were already over 60. Some were quite higher than that. And then you see a very clear profile. And that was how I got that. I mentioned a 3-6 code type. Now, the test does its own correction also for some of the scores, but not the ones that are her main code type. With the test correction, she had a 1-3-6 code type, which is very similar.
All right, so I think I got it to the part where I need people to understand when she broke down what is PTSD and how she believed that through the testing, she could show that Amber Heard did not have PTSD.
What is a 3-6 code type?
A 3-6 code type is something that has been researched and found to be highly correlated or probabilistic of certain behavioral tendencies and personality traits. And the traits with the 3-6 code type tend to be marked by a lot of externalization of blame, a lot of denial about one's own personal faults, intentional or not intentional, but just extreme denial, hostility that is strongly controlled and suppressed. The person may not even realize how hostile they are, but family members, those closest to them, are very likely to report that they lose their temper, and when they lose their temper, it explodes. We have sort of what we call a cookbook for these code types, which will provide you with all the information that's been researched to be associated with them. And our cookbook actually states that 3-6 profile specifically tends to be associated with cruel and ruthless behavior, particularly to those who they perceive as less powerful than them and subordinates.
Describe for the jury the review process that you went through relative to the MMPI.
So I conduct.
So, right here, I'm going to pause it because there's a specific part of her testimony that I am trying to get to. Let me see if this is the section.
Mr. Depp, Mr. Waldman, Mr. Chu, and Ms. Vasquez. You also did not list that you spent an hour with Dr. Shah, correct?
That's incorrect.
You say that the designation said that you spent
During
an
my
hour-
deposition, I also clarified this. I didn't spend an hour with Dr. Shah. There was an introduction with the attorneys present on Zoom. My time on that call was less than 30 minutes.
But you still didn't disclose it, did you, in your reports?
No.
Okay. Now,
Oh dear, let me see. I think this is when they went to break.
It was a very sweet
All right,
kid.
hold on. All right, so I can't find that section. I don't want to just keep scrolling through this. I should have marked when she said it. Basically, what Dr. Curry was saying was, due to how Amber Heard tested on the psychological testing skills that were used, if you have PTSD, you tend to withdraw, which is a major factor, withdraw. You tend to want to stay in the house. You tend not to want to have a lot of people around. You tend to not want to be boisterous or center of attention. You kind of basically withdraw into your own mind where everything you do, you're basically in a corner. So you don't want to go out. You don't want to go grocery shopping. You don't want to leave the house. And basically, what Dr. Curry said in a nutshell, and I apologize, I couldn't mark that section correctly, was that Amber was going out to events. She was doing interviews. She always tend to have family around, a lot of party like atmosphere, party like environments, parties that she would go to, always surrounded by people, socializing, which totally completely goes against PTSD. And that's not saying that you can't be diagnosed with PTSD and not socialize. It's just that Amber Heard was at such a level of socializing as a whole that there's no way that she had PTSD. She basically had more traits that go for wanting to have a more aggressive, dominant power role over people that would allow her to overpower them. So, in a nutshell, that's what happened. Now, the next witness that came up was Johnny Depp. I am actually going to play a lot of his testimony and come back with my thoughts. So, again, we're going to be playing Johnny Depp, and you guys will be able to listen to his second time on the stand. So, let me just fast forward. Keep going. Okay, this is when he was on there. I apologize. My computer is acting slow. So I'm waiting for that to load, you guys. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe, you guys. Please hit that notification bell. Please hit that thumbs up and share this video. This testimony today was very powerful testimony. And I am so glad that, I think his team really, really hit it out the park. All right, let me just try to fast forward this. Move it.
We were invited to play it.
Okay, here we go.
Strange statements.
Can we please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 1246? And this is also already in evidence. Thank you. We could scroll down to the second page, or the third perhaps. Thank you. Mr. Depp, do you see this statement that's attributed to Mr. Waldman here?
I do.
And when is the first time that you saw these statements?
Same, when the countersuit was filed.
And could we please go to Defense Exhibit 1247? And again, this is already in evidence. If we could scroll down, please, thank you. Mr. Depp, do you see the statement attributed to Mr. Waldman?
I do indeed, yes.
And when's the first time that you saw this statement?
This is the same. It's the counterclaim to August 2020.
After you saw these statements for the first time, did you form an understanding as to where they appeared?
I didn't, as to where they had appeared, these statements.
In what publication?
No, off the bat, I didn't know exactly. It just seemed like a lot of word salad to me. I didn't know where they'd come from, or where they ended up. Or
Mr. Depp, do you recall Ms. Heard testifying that you did not assist her in getting her role in Aquaman?
yes, I do. Yes.
And what is your response to that?
Um, um, it's not exactly true.
Do you know when Miss Heard first auditioned for Aquaman?
Strangely, I know the date. Well, no, yes, I do know the date, because um, uh, I was scheduled with my band, the Hollywood Vampires. We had done 2 shows at the Roxy, which is a place in Los Angeles, to rehearse for we were invited to play at the Rock in Rio concert, which is a huge rock and roll festival. So we did the 2 shows to go to Rio and play there. Mr. Wanted to come with me, and Whitney, your sister, had come as well. While we were there in Rio, we were rehearsing, getting ready for the show. Miss Heard informed me that she would have to get back to Los Angeles for an audition, meaning it's basically after our 2-hour show or whatever, we would have to get on the plane immediately to make it back to Los Angeles for this audition. And that audition was at Warner Brothers. It was whatever film it was.
And when were you performing at the Rock in Rio?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that was I believe it was the 24th of September.
In what year?
That was 15.
What do you understand happened after Miss Heard auditioned for Aquaman?
After Ms. Heard's audition, or possibly auditions, for Warner Brothers and I suppose the creative team, Ms. Heard expressed to me that the film was going to be, Warner Brothers had said that the film was going to be shooting in Australia. And Australia was for Ms. Heard, that was a potential problem, which...
Objection, Your Honor. We approach.
Okay.
All right, so while they are approaching, he's basically going back through one of the many incidents that him and Amber had, in which I believe that this resulted into a altercation event. And he is just describing what happened with the circumstance. And again, like, share, subscribe, you guys. Leave a comment, share your thoughts. I'm going to play most, if not all, of his testimony on here, and I want you guys to share your opinion. I will also be discussing other testimonies more briefly as this goes on, as my recap continues. Definitely leave your comments. Right now, I think he is actually doing okay on a stand. He has such a soothing voice. He's ready for these questions, and he's very, very detailed orientated. So this is definitely great on his part so far, in my opinion. Amber Heard seems to be laughing, joking, and fool-la-la with her lawyer. And like I said, we haven't even gotten to the juicier part with the photographs that were metadata. So again, that will be coming also. So you guys stick by, and I am going to share my comments. Also coming up, Kate Moss made a very beautiful and brief appearance. I'm going to actually go back and play her video for you guys, because like I said, this was a mess today. A lot of things were hit in this rebuttal. And like I said, this was just too good to be true. Craziness. So, all right, I'm going to try to fast forward this. He's still on the stand waiting.
And then lackey, and then, either the punching bag or the dartboard, or the recipient of some rather demeaning and ugly words, or she would have wine thrown in her face.
And who was the source of those demeaning words and the wine that you just referenced?
Well, that would be Amber Heard, her sister.
And how do you know that?
Well, I witnessed quite a lot of it. The wine in the face was something that happened in New York, which I think that even made it into the papers. I believe that even made it into the papers. It was in an elevator.
How did you first learn about that incident?
Miss Heard told me in detail.
What else did you observe of Miss Heard and her sister Whitney's interactions during your relationship with Miss Heard?
It was just constantly up and down, but I could sense, I could feel that Whitney was trying to please her sister, trying to be up to snuff, and it just seemed like she got shot down.
Objection, Your Honor. This has gone beyond the scope of the question or that his foundation for knowledge of that.
Your Honor, I asked what he observed, between them. I think this is responsive to that.
And his testimony as to what Whitney felt is.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Did you ever see Miss Heard physically attack Whitney?
No, I've never seen any full-on blowouts, physical blowouts between them. Tons of verbal
Objection
blowouts.
beyond the scope.
Overruled.
I've certainly seen Miss Heard grab Whitney, push her around. There were a number. There were half a dozen times when some of us, whoever was in the general vicinity, would have to leave. This is at Orange, when Whitney and Amber were living at Orange. Whitney and her boyfriend at the time, Sean Krajewski, and we had to leave the apartment and wait in the car while they fought.
And when you say fought, do you mean physically or?
Physically.
And when you said Miss Heard would push Whitney around, do you mean that to physically push her or metaphorically?
Both.
You heard Whitney testify that she lived in Penthouse 4 at the Eastern Columbia building for a time, correct?
That is correct, yes.
How did Whitney come to live in Penthouse 4?
My recollection when Whitney first came to stay at the Eastern Columbia building in Penthouse 4 was she and her boyfriend, Sean, had broken up. And she needed a place to go. And so Amber asked if she could stay in Penthouse 4, and I said, well, of course,
How long did Whitney live in Penthouse 4?
It was well over a year, on and off.
Did you ever ask Whitney to move out of Penthouse 4?
No, I did not, no.
Why did Whitney ultimately move out of Penthouse 4?
Objection, foundation.
It's his apartment, Your Honor. He was living there.
Oh, overruled.
Whitney moved out of Penthouse for long before the marriage. And it was due to an argument that Ms. Heard and Whitney had, which had to do with Whitney working at the Art of Elysium with Jennifer Howell and those people. And Amber asked her to leave, get out.
Where did Whitney live when she moved out of Penthouse 4?
My understanding is she went to live with Jennifer Howell.
Your Honor, I know you anticipated having a motion at noon.
You can keep going. That's
Okay.
fine. Wow, how much longer direct do you have?
I have a bit.
Okay, that's okay.
Mr. Depp, do you recall hearing testimony during Ms. Heard's case from Mr. Mandel?
Yes, I do.
And who is that?
Mr. Mandel is my former business manager of 17 and a half years, who at a certain point I discovered had been embezzling quite a lot of money. So I had to take action against him and he and my lawyer of 17 and a half years, as they were in cahoots, as it were.
I'm going to pause it right there. This is probably one of the saddest parts of the testimony. And this kind of reaffirms that, I mean, and this is just my opinion. You know, as a celebrity, or you know what, not even just as a celebrity, people have to try to understand that even when you have a lifestyle that is huge, you know, you're having a lot of wealth, you know, streaming in, to put a lot of people in charge of your wealth, where at the end of the day, you're not holding them accountable for what comes in and what is going out and how much is going out and where it is going. This becomes an issue because, like I said, yes, Johnny Depp, huge star, he has a lot of things going. He's busy a lot of times, like when he was working constantly, and I get that. But instead of leaving people in charge of your money, I would actually recommend that more people take charge of their own money and be aware of where it's going and not going, because literally he lost hundreds of millions of dollars. Hundreds of millions of dollars. And he lost that money while he was, you know, wrapped up in his drama with Amber Heard, where he didn't even have the full clarity of where his cash was going. So again, this is just another sad thing that, again, I just think more people need to be aware of. No matter how wealthy you get, you need to be in control of your own money, period.
And so yes, Joel Mandel is, and they, which was they settled their case with me. They made their settlement. But yes, it was the big. That was a very, yeah. Joel Mandel is a very bitter man who ended up with a lot of money that I worked hard for over the years.
Do you recall Mr. Mandel testifying in this case that You do not spend very much money on charity.
That I don't, sorry?
That you do not spend very much money on charity.
Objection, Your Honor.
You just want to
Can we approach?
Okay.
Again, going back to what he's testifying to, this is very sad to have so much money that you're working 17, 18, 19 hours a day for. And to have all that gone is sad.
Mr. Depp, just to remind you, my question was, what is your response to Mr. Mandel's testimony that you do not spend very much on charity?
My response to that is Mr. Mandel is a very bitter man. And one thing about that, myself personally, with regard to charity donations, sending money to a charity, I prefer, I would rather that my name were not on it. I don't want the name to be the important thing or the thing that people talk about. So when I donate money, I donate without my name being involved because I don't see that that's important, my name being there in terms of money. Now, if I am able to visit hospitals, or if I'm able to meet with Make-A-Wish children, have held on to the relationships that I've held on to within the Make-A-Wish Foundation and the Children's Hospital and various other places. Then obviously my name is involved. When we held premieres in Leicester Square for several films, Charlie and the
Objection, Your Honor.
Chocolate Factory.
Again, beyond the scope of his response to Mr. Mandel's testimony.
I believe this is in response to Mr. Mandel.
I'll overrule the objection.
So basically, when it was a public, let's call it a donation or whatever, I would talk to the studio. I would talk to Disney. I would talk to Warner Brothers. I would talk to whoever the studio was, well before the premiere, and make the premiere a benefit that would, once we did what we did a premiere for Great Ormond Street Hospital. We did a couple of benefit premieres for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I mean, if you can turn a premiere with that many thousands and thousands and thousands of people there into a benefit, it works and it helps, but it wasn't presented under my name. You know, it was Disney's doing this or Warner Brothers is doing this. I'm not looking for the pat on the back, as it were. If I can make it happen, great. But I don't need the pat on the back. I don't need the adulation. I don't need the attention.
I'm going to pause it right there because you know what? That is very, very notable and very respectable on Johnny Depp's part to be able to use his name and image with the films that he was making in order to help children or disabled long-term cancer patients, people that had problems, for him to use his popularity in order to benefit a charity is actually a way better method to, you know, get money for the charities versus just writing a check. So this is like a full involvement method. And I'm glad that he brought this out because, like I said, I've been watching Johnny Depp since he was in Nightmare on Elm Street. And for him to use his popularity and say, like, okay, I'm not just going to just sit here and just write you guys a check. We're going to turn this into like a full premiere. I know that this movie is already going to be a big razzle dazzle, so we're going to earn extra money for this charity. That was very big on his part. I don't know if other actors do this also, but I think that this is very strategic and this gives a lot of favor because honestly, before he said this, I did not know that this was something that was actually done. So essentially, if say you want to say, okay, Johnny Depp, we need money for a charity, can you write a check? He could write a check for $50,000. But if you think about it, if he's going to hold a premiere somewhere where he's definitely going to show up, you're going to have the added benefit of the charity being there. He might have kids involved. More people will definitely show up because they want to see Johnny. Then you have the anticipation of this anticipated movie. All of that, you got restaurants, you got people that might be booking hotel rooms, taxi drivers, Uber drivers, everybody's getting paid. So essentially, outside of just say, for example, writing a $50,000 check, the whole community has benefited for probably well over $1 million. So this was very strategic. You gain more from having the events and having thousands of people showing up. And I'm sure that there were probably other things involved. For example, there was probably meet and greets. Then he's getting press because, they're filming it. And so this information is being spread worldwide on the media. So yeah, definitely big applause for this. This was very huge and very eye-opening if you're not in that celebrity world where everything is in a bubble. This is actually giving you some really good information from outside looking in. I'm gonna go ahead and keep going.
Did you hear Ms. Heard testify that one of the charities she donated a portion of your divorce settlement to was the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles?
Yes.
What is your relationship with the CHLA?
Objection, Your Honor. Irrelevant to the issue.
May we
of
approach
justice.
Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and while they are approaching again, let me speed up this video because there was a lot of stop and go with this testimony today. Keep going. Okay, wait, let me go back. All right, so this should be the last few minutes of him being on the stand. Amber just I don't even want to say what I feel about Amber at this point because this is going to be a striked video if I do that because for her to be making all those faces and da 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 just looks very self-centered, selfish.
Mr. Depp, what has it been like for you to listen to Ms. Heard's testimony at this trial?
I'm sorry.
What has it been like for you to listen to Ms. Heard's testimony at this trial?
Objection, relevance, Your Honor.
Oh, overruled.
insane. It's insane to hear heinous accusations of violence, sexual violence, that she's attributed to me, that she's accused me of. I don't think anyone enjoys having to split themselves open and tell the truth. But there are times when one just simply has to, because it's gotten out of control. It horrible. Ridiculous, humiliating, ludicrous, painful, savage, unimaginably brutal, cruel, and all false. All false. I wanted I no human being is perfect, certainly not. None of us. But I have never in my life committed sexual battery, physical abuse, all these outlandish, outrageous stories of me committing these things and living with it for 6 years and waiting to be able to bring the truth out. So this is not easy for any of us. I know that. But no matter what happens, I did get here and I did tell the truth, and I have spoken up for what I've been carrying on my back reluctantly for 6 years.
Thank you. No further questions.
All right. Did you want to take lunch at this point or just, okay, all right, let's do that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and take lunch this time. Do not discuss this case with anybody.
All right, I'm just gonna do a quick pause, and honestly, I have a tear in my eye. I watched this live earlier, and I'm replaying this now because this is really sad. First of all, I want to say that Johnny Depp was the one that initiated this defamation um hearing trial to go forward to clear his name. Honestly, and let's just keep it 100%. He initiated this to go forward. If he didn't, we would not have this trial right now. For him to come forward, to me, that was one of the first instances where I was like, wow, this has to be the truth. Why would you further damage or want to damage your career or your career that has really fallen off if Amber Heard actually was able to just drum up all these audios and videos and pictures and witnesses that you were literally dragging her around by her hair and beating the ass off her behind? Nobody is going to do that. Why would a criminal basically say, okay, let's go to court. Nobody does that. And the crazy thing for me about the situation was, even if you just listen to the audio, now the audio for me was probably the nail in the coffin. When you listen to the audio and you can hear the way she was brutalizing him, if you can't believe that something was wrong with her at that point, something is wrong, okay? Because that was real time audio during the time that the stuff was going down. This was utterly sad and disgusting. I am actually glad that he came forward with this. And the crazy thing is, a lot of times when people are accused of doing things and having their name dragged through the mud, a lot of people cannot afford to have money for experts, money for to start a trial. Most people just hang their head and go along with it because they cannot afford it. They don't have the money. Johnny Depp, luckily, and I'm not even joking when I say this, had some money left to get this together. It was already stated in a previous testimony a few days ago that his agent said that he came to her and asked her for a $20 million loan. This man at one point was worth almost $700 million and had to ask for a $20 million loan. His whole career was ruined because of her. Whole career. I applaud him for coming forward. A lot of people cannot afford to come forward. They cannot pay for this. They cannot respond to these accusations. This man has literally lost his job. Literally, he's been dragged. Now, I'm going to go forward and I'm going to play some other witnesses to recap the day. But honestly, again, if you can't take anything else from this, honestly, number one, he would not have come forward to be on camera, uh, go to court, and try to reestablish himself if he did it. Okay? This is different. This is a civil case. This is not a criminal case. He filed this, he had to prove himself. Why would you want to prove yourself if he did anything to her that she accused him of? The bottle incident, for one, that was savage. If you guys go back, I think to like the first week, excuse me, there was testimony in the first week when he was accused of wrapping a t-shirt around her neck during the honeymoon. And this came out in the first week. Why would Johnny Depp literally go on a stand and try to clear his name, get everything out there if he did this stuff? So again, like I said, this whole day had me pretty much in
And don't do the
tears.
outside research, okay?
This whole day pretty much had me in tears. It's shocking. It's sad. And like I said, I'm going to go ahead and speed forward to the next witness. Let me try to find it. Um, keep going. All right, Johnny is on the stand. Okay, now this is another key area. Let me see if I can get. Okay, good. So this is good. They're back on the stand. This is after lunch. And I'm going to let this play because this has to do with the physical incident that happened right after the honeymoon or during the honeymoon. I'm sorry. And again, he's going to be talking about what happened to his
Have a seat.
face,
All right, cross-examination.
what happened to his face during the
Thank you, Your Honor.
honeymoon.
Mr. Depp, I'd like to start with the honeymoon that you and Ms. Heard took in late July 2015.
Certainly.
You testify that you took a train ride from Bangkok to Singapore, is that right?
That's correct.
And you claim that on this train ride that Ms. Heard hit you in the face, correct?
Yes.
And left a black eye, correct?
Yes.
And Michelle, could you please pull up PX 162?
Is that already in evidence?
Yes, Your
Okay.
Honor.
Published to the jury?
Thank you. Mr. Depp, this is the picture that your counsel showed you both in your prior, or showed you this morning, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that mark under your left eye is what you claim to be a black eye caused by Ms. Heard, correct?
Seems to be there's some scratches around my nose as well.
Okay. All right, but that, it's your left eye, the one close to the chef. That's what you says your black eye, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that was the picture your team chose to show you, right?
There's a picture
Let's pull up
someone
exhibit
showed- showed
1905,
me.
Michelle, please.
I'm sorry, which number was it?
This is a new exhibit, Your Honor, 1905.
That's defendants?
Defendant's exhibit 1905.
Okay, thank you.
Ask for permission to publish, Your Honor.
What, you want to put it in evidence?
Mhm.
Okay, any objection to 1905?
With the comments, we have no objection to the photograph itself. We would ask the comments be redacted as hearsay.
Well, I'd like to at least question the witness about the
I have no
comments.
objection to the photograph being published.
Okay, well, let's wait a minute. Mr. Depp, you see here, these are 4 pictures of you, right?
Yes,
Yeah, and below it, they indicate that they were taken on July 24th, 2015 in Bangkok, Thailand, correct?
Objection, lack of foundation, calls for speculation.
Overruled.
in Bangkok, Thailand, so before the train ride.
Correct, before the train ride, because you
Yeah.
didn't get on the train ride till the 25th, is that right?
Somewhere in that area, I guess.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd ask for permission to publish this to the jury.
If it's just the photographs, we have no
All
objection.
right, you want to redact the, just have the photographs in it?
Sure. We'll do 1905.
5, but just with redaction, which would be fine. I think there's still some on the bottom. I'm not sure.
It's just redacted.
Like, share, sub, you guys. Thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate everybody joining Love Nation to watch this recap. And again, leave your comments. I will definitely be responding to all comments. And share this video.
Thank you, Michelle.
All right, publish.
Thank you, Your Honor. Michelle, could you please scroll down to the bottom 2 pictures there? Mr. Depp, in these pictures that were taken before you got on the train ride for your honeymoon, where you claim that Miss Heard hit you and gave you a black eye, you have the exact same shadow or sunburn or mark under your left eye. The exact same mark, don't you?
That's the, when you get a side light, you see the occipital
Mhm.
bone. So that is the exact area.
Yep. And it's actually,
A side light will cause that
Yeah, well,
As
the
well.
picture's not being taken from the side, is it? It's being taken head on, isn't it?
No. The lens in front.
Yeah.
The light on the side.
Right.
Will cause that occipital bone, I believe it's called,
Mhm.
to appear sunken. And-
Just like lights on the side of a train car, correct?
Objection
Well,
calls for
You can
speculation.
take that down, Michelle.
that was in fact in the dark. I had a chef, I had people on either side of me, so
You can
I
wait for the
don't
next,
see where the light fill is from the side there.
Mr. Depp, you can wait for the next question, next question.
Next question.
Sorry.
Even
Okay, this is BS. Okay, I'm gonna tell y'all something. Johnny Depp has probably been in dozens and dozens and dozens of movies. He definitely know where the light is and how it looks. Trust me, if you have ever done theater or acting with a movie, I know this for a fact because I have done theater. He knows what he's talking about, and he's actually making a true statement. When he says that the light is coming from a specific place with the camera angle being in another, he's not just saying that to say, oh, I was not bruised. He's saying that because when you're acting, you have to get used to knowing where the lights are. You know how it looks on your face. This is basically how you get your best, what do you call it, photography or video photography, because you know where to put your face and you know how the lights will look. This is how you get those nice looks in the movie. The actors know where, chin up, chin down, look left, look right. You get used to knowing what you need to look for. So right now he's being truthful.
the picture your team chose to show you on that train isn't accurate, is it? Let's pull up.
Objection
exhibit-
calls for
let-
speculation.
Let's pull up exhibit 1859, please.
1859, is that in evidence?
No, Your Honor. Mr. Depp, this is the same picture or the same, the exact same scene displayed in PX 162 that you looked at this morning, correct?
That looks like my face has been, the eyes have been photoshopped.
Oh, okay. All right, so this post from the Eastern and Oriental Express's Facebook page, you're saying that that's photoshopped?
Is
Let's
that from
pull
their
up
page?
side
I
by
would, sure, why wouldn't they?
Let's pull them up side by side, please. Your Honor, I move for the admission of this exhibit. We can just have the pictures. We don't need the.
Any objection to the picture?
Objection, lack of foundation, lack of authentication.
Is that you in the photo, Mr. Depp?
It is me, but it's clearly,
Your
It's
Honor,
been-
I didn't
it's
just write
been-
anything after that, first of all. And would ask for admission of this photograph.
All right, just a photograph?
Yep.
You're gonna,
We maintain our lack of authentication, lack of foundation.
all right, over objection, I'll allow 1859.
Thank you, Your Honor. Michelle, could I please get you to,
You need to redact it first.
we actually have one, it's, that will admit, or ask to be admitted as 1858. That is just the picture.
I already have 1859.
Okay, so we'll call this 1859 then.
This is 1859,
Yeah, we just need to,
okay.
we'll fix that exhibit sticker on the bottom and get you that correct 1859.
1859.
And Michelle, what I'd like to ask you to do, please, is to put the picture displayed as 1859, just was admitted into evidence, next to PX 162 that was shown to Mr. Depp this morning.
Okay, you can pop those, they're both in evidence.
I'm going to just pause this right here. I'm just going to make an off the cuff remark. I wish that the subtitles that are created for these type of videos are more on point with what they are actually putting in the subtitles, because all of the subtitles are not 100% correct. I think that this is a disservice for people that have auditory issues, that are following this case and watching any other videos online in which having access to subtitles that are clearly written correctly would be beneficial. I don't think that it should just be left to having these subpar subtitles. I believe that people in the deaf community deserve to have subtitles in videos that are in 100% respect to what the voices on screen are saying, so that they can also have 100% benefit of having access to what is being said instead of trying to guess if something is misspelled or sounded out incorrectly where the word does not actually fit the sentence. So again, this is just an off the cuff remark because I stand with people that are deaf, and I think that at this point in 2022 and beyond, we should not be having an issue where every other sentence is misspelled.
Can you try to make them the same size, please? This is the exact same picture, isn't it, Mr. Depp?
With radically different quality. And
No, you answered my question.
how
Permission
do you know I
published.
wasn't done?
You answered my question, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Mr. Depp, you had that, whatever mark it is, whether it's a sunburn, whether it's a shadow, whether it's the light reflecting, you had that same mark on your eye before you got on that train.
Well, it's pretty difficult to get a sunburn on a train. And in
Let's
the
go to-
photographs with the child, I don't look particularly sunburned. Can we see those again?
Let's pull up exhibit one. Actually, no, let's talk about Australia for a little bit.
Oh, good.
You testified that you've never done ecstasy more than a handful of times in your life, correct?
6, 7 times.
Now, you heard Miss Heard's testimony. You've been sitting here. I know you didn't look at her, but you heard her testimony. And
Oh, I
you heard her. You didn't hear her say you ingested 8 to 10 all at once. She said she came down after being apart from you for some time, and there were 8 to 10 gone from the bag. Correct?
Objection form compound.
Overruled.
I also heard Miss Heard say I reached into a bag and poured a bunch of
Yep,
MDMA down my mouth.
correct. That's right. She didn't say you poured
handful.
10 at one time, did she?
Oh, she said a handful,
Okay.
which is more than 10, I believe.
Okay. The fact is, Mr.
Savage. Savage. Oh, he look at it. Johnny Depp is actually looking at him like, what? Let me tell you, if you're taking that much, I don't even think Johnny Depp would be here right now. Let's go ahead.
Mr. Depp, you are asking for ecstasy. You who have only done it 6 times in your life, you are asking for ecstasy and cocaine within minutes of being admitted to the hospital after suffering your finger injury, weren't you?
Objection compound.
I don't recall that I was
Overruled.
Let's
begging
pull up.
for any drugs.
Yeah, let's pull up plaintiff's or exhibit 393, please. You just said you don't recall you were begging for any drugs?
No, I
that-
don't, but I do
okay.
recall being in great pain and great distress, so
Okay,
I could have asked for a teddy bear as well.
okay. So this has been admitted, Your Honor.
This is evidence, okay?
Ah,
And if you can blow up the text, please, Michelle. In this text message, Mr. Depp, you were, after you suffered your finger injury, you just testified you don't recall asking for any drugs. You're texting Nathan Holmes, your personal assistant, need more whitey stuff ASAP, brother man, and the e-business. Now, we went over this in your cross-examination, didn't we?
If you say so, sir,
And whitey stuff is cocaine,
I would say.
and the e-business is ecstasy. You already
Yeah,
said
quite
so.
likely, yes.
Okay.
So I didn't recall that,
Thank you.
but,
Can you pull up exhibit 1817, please? This is a picture that you were shown this morning, Mr. Depp.
yes.
And you kind of made some illustrations on the picture and gave your account of what you see here. Mr. Depp, you testified previously that the vodka bottle that you allege cut off your finger was a handle of vodka, correct?
Yes,
You've already
the
testified that,
second
right?
bottle, there was a handle on it,
Right.
yes.
This bottle, whatever it is, to the extent it's glass at all, that's in the corner of this room, that's not a handle of vodka.
Objection calls for speculation.
I think you'll find that I said 2 bottles.
Mhm. Well, actually, what you testified to this morning, Mr. Depp, was that the bottle in the corner was the handle, and there is no other bottle in the picture, is there?
No, that's not what I testified. I testified that, may I touch the screen?
Yes.
This is glass. This is glass.
And that's not a handle. Neither of those are handles of vodka.
It's that big, it's broken. The handles up the top on those vodka bottles, sir. I mean,
And none, if you combine all that glass on the floor, that doesn't make up the amount of glass in a handle of vodka, does it?
Objection calls for speculation.
I'm not,
With this objection, hold on. I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
There is no picture of a handle of vodka broken on that floor, is there, Mr. Depp?
no, I don't see it. I see glass under this chair here.
Okay. Well, you testified this morning that you did see it, so it's good to get that clarification. Let's
No, I didn't say I saw a handle.
You also testified this morning that
I'm going to pause it. Look at that wicked witch of the West. There was, look, there was a ton of glass on that floor. And thankfully, Johnny Depp was not laying on that floor that day. This was a mess. The crazy part about the situation is, and he was very quick to pull that picture off. I really hope that when a jury has to go debate, that they will go back and look. I have to upload that audio. If you listen to the audio, I believe it was the house guy, like it was like a house manager that had testified, and he said that he was busy cleaning up. It was a hot mess. There was a lot of bottles all over the place after this incident with him and Amber. I don't know, like, if he was cleaning up and then took the picture, or if he took the picture and then he cleaned it up. But obviously, there was a lot of stuff thrown at that time. And she is just sitting there, just smirking and just getting off on this negativity. Like, this is sick. All right, let me just keep going.
yeah, and I want to get this, I want to make sure that we're on the same page here. You
I don't think we
testified
will be.
earlier this morning that there was no phone in the bar area downstairs. Is that what you testified to?
I don't recall a phone in the bar area.
Okay,
I don't recall a Bakelite phone in the bar area where
okay. Let's pull up, Michelle, please, the UK day 3, page 421. Mr. Depp, we've done this drill before. This is your testimony from the UK, correct?
Can I please have,
It's this. We don't have copies for everyone. It's on the screen.
Your
right
Honor,
there.
may I please, I would like to have what is the testimony of the
Here,
witness.
you can have my copy. Mr. Depp, you remember giving testimony in the UK trial for several days, correct?
Okay, so yeah.
Yep.
So I do remember a telephone in the bar area, and this
You know,
telephone you picked up was made of Bakelite.
This is my turn to do this, Mr. Depp.
I'm sorry.
On page 421, line 19, you were asked a question, and this telephone that you picked up was made of, I'm sorry, I'm going to go up line 15. Question, at one stage when you were in the kitchen screaming at Miss Heard, you picked up a wall-mounted telephone. Do you remember a telephone in the kitchen? Answer, no ma'am, I remember a telephone in the bar area. Question, and this telephone that you picked up was made of Bakelite. Do you know what I mean by that? A retro telephone, wall-mounted but retro. Answer, it was a wall-mounted telephone, but it was not Bakelite. It was a modern phone. It was plastic. Question, a phone that was a wall-mounted phone that was picked up, can you scroll down, please? Question, a phone that was a wall-mounted phone that was picked up by you, held in your right hand, and you were repeatedly smashing it against the wall in your right hand. Answer, that is possible. But I do not, if that is the case, I do not believe I spent very much time on the phone. I remember ripping the phone off the wall. That was your testimony, correct?
It seems it would be yes.
Thank you.
I,
Answer my question. Thank you. Mr. Depp, you've claimed before, you've said, if I'm angry and I've got to lash out or hit somebody, I'm going to do it. And I don't care what the repercussions are. Anger doesn't pay rent. It's got to go. It's got to be evicted. You've said that before, haven't you?
have you a quote from me somewhere saying that?
It's my question to you. You've said that before, haven't you? Well, actually, let's refresh your recollection. Can you pull up the Ghost in the Machine article, please?
Possibly about paparazzis.
Mr. Depp, you see the picture of you on the lower left.
Yes.
You're to be shirtless and wearing a crown, I believe. You see the long paragraph above that that starts with "in the Mark Hotel."
Yes,
You see
yes,
that?
yes.
And at the bottom of that, does this refresh your recollection that you said, "I have a lot of love inside me and a lot of anger inside me as well. If I love somebody, then I'm going to love them. If I'm angry and I've got to lash out or hit somebody, I'm going to do it. And I don't care what the repercussions are. Anger doesn't pay rent. It's got to go. It's got to be evicted." Did I read that right?
You did read that right, yes.
Thank you. You can take that down, Michelle, please. Now, Mr. Depp, you've also claimed that you've said before that if you want to be with a woman sexually, that she is rightfully yours, haven't you?
Could you repeat that?
And you've also said that with
Could you
respect-
repeat that, please?
Yeah, that if you want to be with a woman sexually, that she is rightfully yours.
That's ludicrous.
You've also said that with respect to women that you want to be with, you've remarked, "I need, I want, I take," haven't you?
Equally as ludicrous, no.
Can you pull up DX 883, please?
You can pull it what you like. I've never said those words. There's not enough hubris in me to say anything like that.
883?
883, Your Honor.
It's not,
DX
is it
It
evidence?
is not admitted yet.
Okay, 883.
Mr. Depp, these are text messages from you to Stephen Deuters on February 22nd, 2017, correct?
This looks nothing like me. You might have mistaken.
Mr. Depp, we can show the full unredacted. You've looked at a number of text messages in this case, and the words "him" as the identifier.
All right, I'm pausing this because some people actually pointed out online that I think it was this message. It was an incoming message to Johnny. This was not a message that he sent to somebody. So for some reason, Amber Heard's lawyer is trying to say that Johnny wrote this, but I believe that this is what people online with a super microscope saw. This was actually an incoming message. I believe that this is that part.
That's you, correct? In every text message we've seen in this case.
Yeah, sure. It still doesn't mean it hasn't been screwed with. That's not anything that I've ever said or written.
You want to see the whole thing unredacted? We can look at that too.
No, because you could have typed it up last night. No.
I can assure you I didn't type it up last night, Mr. Depp. Your Honor, I move for the admission of Exhibit 883.
All right, any objection?
Objection on relevance grounds, Your Honor.
All right, well, do you want to approach for a moment?
All right, so I'm glad at this point there was an approach because I believe that this was actually published and somebody screenshotted it. Earlier today, this went viral because this message was sent to Johnny. Johnny did not send this message to somebody. He was blamed for sending this very vulgar message. So again, cause see, I was not watching this particular part live, so I'm very curious about this because for some reason this was put in evidence that Johnny did it. You can clearly see he's telling the truth. He said he didn't send it. He has literally admitted to all
right.
kind of crazy stuff.
A3 in evidence as redacted.
Thank you. Mr. Depp, you're aware that these are text messages. You can see the bottom right where it says Depp and then it has a number, 8129. Those are produced by you in this litigation. You understand that, right?
I understand that, sir.
All right, Michelle, could you please, let's take a look at the top text first. Mr. Depp, on February 22nd, 2017, you texted Mr. Duders, right, exactly. Molly's pussy is rightfully mine. Should I not just bust in and remove its hinges tonight?
Okay, I'm pausing here because these are incoming messages, okay? He did not write this. This was sent to him. It says incoming. If you look right underneath where it says direction in the third column, it literally says incoming.
Did I read that right?
You read it right.
And the one beneath that, you say, I want to change her understanding of what it is like to be thrashed about like a pleading mackerel. And then in all caps, you write, I need, I want, I take. Did I read that right?
You read it right. But I did not write that. Perhaps someone else.
You wrote every
on my
other
phone.
text that you produced that came from you in this litigation, didn't you?
Not necessarily. Sometimes you give your phone to people and they
And
text
when you
from
got
it.
off that plane,
Okay, I'm going to pause this again. It says incoming. Look at it. This is not outgoing. This is incoming messages. It says status red. That's basically what happens is when you're on your phone, you get a message and eventually you look at the message. Even if you just click on it, it will come back as red. You can clearly see that it says incoming message. And if you look back on the first column, and again, I am not a lawyer or metadata expert, but it also says it was sent to one, two, three, four. This was sent to four people. Also, is dated in 2017. Him and Amber had already divorced. I don't even know why this was put into evidence. Uh this was actually during a time where uh they were not even together, and it looked like it was sent from a Stephen Duders, and it kept saying him in the first column. Now again, I'm pausing this so you guys can look at this and try to understand. Also, if you look at it, it looks like a message where he is trying to get some drugs. It does not look like this is directed to a woman. This is looking like he's trying to get maybe a dealer to bring something over. It doesn't look like this was actually sent to a woman. If you look at it, the Molly, this is like kind of like I need to get high type of discussion. If you have been around anybody that do paraphernalia and etc. This is basically something that they would send because they can't say, oh yeah, just bring it over. I need, you know, they would recode it. So again, this actually has nothing to do with nothing. This has nothing to do with the case, in my opinion. That is just something that people say in code when they basically say like, oh yeah, I need you to bring me over some blah blah blah. This ain't got nothing to do with a woman, and it's an incoming message. So again, I'm just giving y'all what I know.
Excuse me?
From Boston.
I'm
So
sorry?
when you got off the plane from Boston, you knew Miss Heard was angry with you, didn't you?
It was pretty much a given.
Objection, calls for speculation.
And you understood her to be angry, right?
She was always angry, yes.
And you asked Mr. Duders, same person, you can take this down, Michelle, please, thank you. Same person that you texted in that last exhibit, you asked Mr. Duders to communicate with her on your behalf, correct?
I don't know what you're talking about. You'll have to explain.
You asked Mr. Duders to communicate with Miss Heard by text to speak to her about the incident, correct?
About what incident?
To speak to her about the plane flight,
The plane?
the Boston plane.
The Boston plane. So you're saying that I influenced Mr. Duders. I told him that he had to write this, and I told him that he had to write that. Is that what you're saying?
No. It wasn't uncommon for Mr. Duders to communicate with Miss Heard on your behalf, correct?
Objection, calls for speculation.
He was your personal assistant. Mr. Duders was your personal assistant, correct?
I had two personal assistants
Right.
at the time.
He was one of them, right?
Yeah, Mr. Duders was one of them, yes, sir.
Right, and it wasn't uncommon for you to ask Mr. Duders to communicate with Miss Heard on your behalf, correct?
It wasn't uncommon for any of them to communicate with Miss Heard on my behalf if I were on set or unavailable or any of that.
Or if Miss Heard and you had a fight, you would sometimes have them to communicate with Miss Heard on your behalf, correct?
I think my crew caught on very quickly that
Just a yes or no.
would be
Mr. Depp.
necessary for them to.
No, just a yes or no. It was not uncommon for after
Objection,
you and Miss
Your
Heard
Honor.
had
I'd ask that he be allowed to finish his
yes
answer.
or no question, Your Honor.
All right. Go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you, Your Honor. Wasn't uncommon for you to have one of your personal assistants communicate with Miss Heard after you and her had a fight.
I disagree because you're insinuating that I had them do it, and you don't know that.
After the Boston plane flight, you had Mr. Duders communicate with Miss Heard, correct?
When I'm asked what to do, I said placate her, just placate her like we always do.
And you told him, send her whatever message you need to send to
I'm
placate her,
sorry, he's
correct?
sorry, he feels bad, yes, because any other answer, it would turn into World War III.
Okay, can you pull up Exhibit 229?
I'm gonna pause and say this. This is all over the place, and I wish that this case had a in order timeline. These 2017 text messages was well after they had divorced. I think he was in the middle of filming. I think his last movie was Miyamata or something like that. And when he's filming, obviously he can't have his phone in his pocket. Secondly, if you look at the message, it's not that he's asking for Amber. It appears to be a DRUGS. I'm gonna say it again a little slower. DRUGS that he's trying to get. Also, these messages were incoming. It was not what he sent. It was sent to Johnny. Sadly, this was not caught by his lawyers, but it went viral because other people had actually caught this online and was like, hey, these are incoming messages. This wasn't outgoing messages. So obviously, Johnny was, you know, uh, his assistant was like, hey, do you need a score? And Johnny was, like, F yeah, I need a score. This does not seem to have anything to really even do with Amber. And truth be told, he was already done with Amber in 2017. If you actually want to say that this was directed to a woman, this could have just been some side piece thought that, I mean, was, you know what I'm saying? At this point, I think he was done with Amber in 2017. I don't even understand how this was admitted into court because this had nothing to do with the divorce, money, or anything. It just sounded like he's just trying to have a good time. Amber was not even in the messages. Now, if she was, they need to unblock who the other plus and pluses was in that first column that I paused. However, Amber was not even directed into this message. But if she was, I wish that they would disclose who these messages went to, because I think that this is actually kind of absurd. I wish somebody in court could have caught this. I'm gonna go ahead and play.
Please. Your Honor, I think you know where I'm going here, and based on Mr. Depp's testimony, I'd ask him for the admission of Exhibit 229.
Your Honor, can we please return?
Sure.
All right, so while they have this paused, they're going to, okay.
Mr. Depp, you were pretty angry after Miss Heard got her temporary restraining order, weren't you?
Angry. I was, more than anything, I was hurt.
And you testified earlier this morning, you claimed that you somehow were responsible for her getting the role with Warner Brothers, correct? That's what you testified to this morning. You also tried to get her fired from Aquaman, didn't you? After the temporary restraining order.
Which question would you like me to handle first?
One question, sir. You tried to get her fired from the Aquaman after the temporary restraining order, didn't you?
Well, what is related to the story about me getting
It just
her?
yes or no, Mr. Depp. I
So
didn't
life
ask
does
what
not
related,
come down to
what
yes or
story
no at all
related to.
times. I can't please you with a yes or a no every single
It's
time.
a yes or no question, Mr. Depp. You tried to get Ms. Heard fired, didn't you?
Answer's no.
All right, let's pull up Exhibit 821.
I'm gonna pause this and I'm going to say this, and I'm not trying to be mean when I say this. However, I am going to just try to lay out facts as much as I can. Amber Heard is a D-list actress. She has not accumulated anything in her portfolio in which she could go from doing a few small budget movies into being in a world renowned superhero movie on her own. Okay? And I have been following this for many years because I'm a huge Johnny Depp fan. And I'm going to say this again. When I first heard this, and when the facts started to trickle out several years ago, I'm sorry, not facts at this point. When the story started to trickle out several years ago that JD was putting paws on her, I was like, oh my God, not him too. Like, I'm like, oh my God. I couldn't believe it. I have literally been watching his movies since he was in his first movie, Nightmare on Elm Street. back in 1984. Okay. I go back that far. And that's one of my favorite movies because, Freddy Krueger is one of my favorite horror movie genres, watching Freddy Krueger. And I'm very, I ain't gonna say disappointed, but I was really hoping that Robert England could have just came back and just did one more solo Freddy Krueger movie. But being that he is in like his late 70s at this point, he has declined, okay? Declined to be in another Freddy movie. They tried to reboot it in 2010. It didn't work out well. A lot of people like me were like, hey, this dude that y'all replacing him with is trying a little bit too hard. And again, I'm a horror drama, I'm a horror genre loving person. I love independent horror genre movies. Low budget, high budget, mid budget. I love those movies. I like it when people can like the Blair Witch Project. That movie to me was phenomenal when I went to go see it at the movie theater. Not because it was really the greatest movie ever, but because it was low budget. It had a beginning, middle, and end that was captivating. The same thing with Paranormal. It was a small budget movie when it started. It had a really good beginning, middle, and end. It looked like it didn't cost much to make. But when you're watching it, you feel like you are a part of the movie. That's how I felt back when Nightmare on Elm Street came out. Freddy Krueger was just terrible person. I had nightmares for a long time. Then, the story, it was great. You following Nancy. It seemed so outrageous. The story itself, it was so uh, science fiction like as far as a story. Oh, you haven't dreamed, and this guy with knives is running around chasing you. That story alone um really caught me. And this is why, back when I think Johnny Depp was like, oh God, he was still a teenager when he did that movie. And it's like you cheering him on. And then if y'all ain't seen Freddy Krueger, if y'all ain't seen night first Nightmare on Elm Street, please go back and watch it. I believe it's on Netflix. In fact, I'm gonna put it on. I'm going to put it on after this live stream that I'm doing. Because again, the movie itself did not seem to be a high budget. It could have been a high budget at the time for a horror movie, but it was just the people in the movie just enamored me with the storytelling, with the lighting, with the score, with the script. You felt like you were there. So Freddy Krueger became an icon. And then, Johnny Depp was in this movie, and it's like, wow, he was. I mean, looking at him in this movie was the same way I looked at Brad Pitt in his first movie. I was like, wow, they can act. And it's like, you hope that their career keep going. You hope that they can keep making movies because they had that little special thing. So going back to this testimony, and let me make this full circle. Amber Heard literally was in maybe 2 to 3, give or take, small independent movies, including Rum Diary, when she started acting. And her sense of entitlement and her sense of, oh my God, I'm a huge star, being with Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp is a huge A-list actor at this time. I've said this in every single live stream. To see the way that she literally captured his attention, captured his heart, he gave her so much. She went from D-list Cinderella story to stomping in the face of a prince that gave her the diamonds, jewels, and everything free for her and her family. For her to just piss all over, or better yet, poo poo all over. And not be able to be like, you know what? This man loves me down to my dirty drawers, wants to be with me. He didn't even like marry all these other women that were better put together than she was. But he married her. And for her to take the, I would like to say, God's blessings or God's plan for her to rise, to tell you the truth, I don't even think we'll ever hear or see her in even a Dirty Mop commercial or an OnlyFans video at this point after this trial. Ain't nobody gonna want to work with her. She took her life's blessings and threw everything in the fire because she cannot control herself or feel that there was something in her that shined. She decided to piss all over it or poo all over it. And Johnny Depp not only tried to be with her, show her love, show her that you can be big and you can do things, she literally bit the hand that fed her and her whole family and dragged him down with it. And the sad thing is that she literally tried to drag other people down with her, like Jason Momoa. There should not even been this much of a hoopla about Aquaman. You were not even the star of the movie. You were just a sidebar actress casted in the movie. You are literally the newsboy to Batman. And you don't even have an accumulated resume to justify that Johnny gave you so much after only being married to him for a year. But again, let me just drink my water and just go ahead because my throat is dry. This is just sad watching this 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 thing where Johnny Depp has to probably spend his last dime to defend himself against somebody that has spent so much time trying to bring him down when he used everything he had to help her.
Is that
Mr.
you
Depp,
trying to
is
get her
this-
fired?
This is a text message that you had with your sister, Chrissy Dombrowski. She was the first witness in this case, right?
She doesn't work at Warner Brothers.
She-
You can't fire Amber.
This is a text message you had with her on June 4th, 2016, isn't it?
June 12th, yes.
Your Honor, move for the admission of Exhibit 821 as redacted.
Any objection?
We would object on relevance grounds, Your Honor.
I'll overrule that objection. 821 in evidence.
And on June 4th, 2016, Mr. Depp, you texted your sister, "I want her replaced on that WB film." Did I read that right?
You did.
Her is referring to Amber, right?
I'm going to pause this, and again, I'm going to say, I don't know why his messages to his sister is being played on this as if his sister owns WB Studios, which she doesn't. I don't understand how his lawyers allowed testimony No, text messages from him griping to his sister privately to be admitted, but whatever.
That's correct.
And WB is Warner Brothers, correct?
Again, correct, yes.
And then after you sent this text to your sister, following the temporary restraining order, you reached out to Guy Silverstein to have him fire Amber, correct?
Who?
It's Greg Silverstein, I'm sorry.
I don't recall reaching out to Greg Silverstein.
You reached out to Sue Crawl to get her to
Particularly.
fire Miss Heard, right?
I had vetted Miss Heard. I had vetted Miss Heard.
Mr. Depp, you got your chance to
Warner
speak this morning.
Brothers
Your Honor,
Warner
I-
Brothers
Sorry?
had two franchises.
Mr. Depp, if you could just answer the question, sir. Next question?
you reached out to Greg Silverstein to get him to try to get Amber fired from Aquaman, didn't you?
I
Asked and
reached-
answered.
Excuse me?
Asked and answered.
It's a yes or no question that he hasn't answered, yes or no.
All right.
Yes or no, sir? You reached out to Greg Silverstein to try to get Amber fired from Aquaman.
Second half of your question is wrong, sir.
You reached out to Sue
them
Crawl.
because I vetted her.
No, Mr. Depp. You reached out to Sue
What
Crawl
would you
to
like?
get
I
her
don't
to try to get her to help you get Amber fired from Aquaman, didn't you?
No,
And you reached out to Kevin Sujihara to try to get him to help you get Amber fired from Aquaman, didn't you?
no.
Can you pull up Exhibit 857, please? Mr. Depp, this is a text message that you sent to Christian Carino on August 15th, 2016, correct?
This is already in evidence, correct?
Parts of it are,
Oh, so not this,
not this
well,
version.
this can't be 857 then, no. Don't.
850, sorry.
Mr. Unruh, you can't do this to me.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Understood. We'll call it 857A.
857. Okay. All right, yes, sir, thank you.
My apologies, Your Honor. Mr. Depp, you sent this text to Christian Carino on it, August 15th?
I most certainly did.
Okay. And in this text that you sent to Christian Carino is the person who used to be Amber's agent and then was your agent for a time, correct?
That is correct.
And in this text, Your Honor, permission to publish, please.
Do you want to put it in evidence
Yeah.
first?
Move for admission of
Any
857A.
objection?
No objection.
All right, 857A, as redacted, will be in evidence.
Thank you, Your Honor. And in this text, Mr. Depp, you said she's begging.
I am going to pause because they're going to take this off the screen. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this on pause so we can read it together. This, if you look in the third column, is outgoing. That does mean that Johnny Depp sent it. Also, if you look in the second column, it says timestamp 2:29 Pacific time. I don't know what the UTC thing is, but it was sent on 8/15/2016. At this point, I believe that they were actually going through or had gone through the divorce. So this is a legit message from Johnny Depp. And it says she's begging for total global humiliation. She's going to get it. I'm going to need your text about San Francisco, brother. I'm even sorry to ask, but she vacuumed Elon Musk's crooked ping, and he gave her some crappy lawyers. I have no mercy, no fear, and not an ounce of emotion, or what I once thought was love for this gold digging, low level, dime a dozen, mushy, pointless, dangling, overused, flappy fish market. Oh my God. Oh, this is savage. Savage. I'm so effing happy. She wants to go fight this out. She will hit the wall hard. And I cannot wait to have this waste of a. Ooh, no, he didn't. Water bottle guzzle out of my life. I met a effing sublime little Russian here. Oh, savage. Which made me realize the time I blew on that. Oh! 50 Cent stripper. 50 Cent. Oh my God. I wouldn't touch her with a God given glove. I can only hope that karma kicks in and takes the gift of breath from her. Oh God. Sorry, man, but now, in all caps, I will stop at nothing. Let's see if Elon must have a bear. Come see me face to face. I'll show him things he's never seen before. Oh, this is savage. Let the other side of his DICK when I slice it off. Ah, oh, this is too funny. Okay, let's just go ahead. Play it.
For total global humiliation. She's gonna get it. I'm gonna need your texts about San Francisco, brother. I'm even sorry to ask, but she sucked Mollusk's crooked dick and he gave her some shitty lawyers. I have no mercy, no fear, and not an ounce of emotion or what I once thought was love for this gold-digging, low-level, dime a dozen, mushy, pointless, dangling, overused, flappy fish market. I'm so fucking happy she wants to go to fight this out. She will hit the wall hard. And I cannot wait to have this waste of a cum guzzler out of my life. I met a fucking sublime little Russian here, which made me realize the time I blew on that 50 Cent stripper. I wouldn't touch her with a goddamn glove. I can only hope that karma kicks in and takes the gift of breath from her. Sorry, man, but now I will stop at nothing. Let's see if Mollusk has a pair. Come see me face to face. I'll show him things he's never seen before, like the other side of his dick when I slice it off. Did I read that right?
You did.
Now, not long after this, you can take that down, Michelle, thank you. Not long after this, you met Mr. Waldman in the late summer or fall of 2016, correct?
I believe, yeah, September, October, somewhere in there, whatever.
And he's been your attorney since then, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you met with him with the Daily Mail in London in February 2020, didn't you?
I'm sorry, again?
You and Mr. Waldman together met with the Daily Mail in London in February 2020, didn't you?
Are you asking me a question about my attorney and I?
Yeah, that you two met with people from the Daily Mail in London in February 2020.
Was that during the London trial?
No,
No?
in February.
I don't recall it, though.
Okay.
I don't.
To the extent Mr. Waldman testified that you did, you don't dispute that, correct?
I just I don't recall it.
You don't disagree with Mr. Waldman's testimony that you and he met with people from the Daily Mail in London in February 2020, correct?
If that's Mr. Waldman's testimony, then,
Okay.
but I just didn't necessarily know who these people were,
Right.
I guess.
The same month that the Daily Mail released alleged tapes between you and Amber.
Objection
Correct.
calls for speculation, lack of
Alleged-
personal knowledge.
Alleged.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Now, Mr. Depp, you testified, and I wrote it down before lunch. You said, when Ms. Myers asked you something about, how does it feel to make you, or how does it feel to be here? You said, I've been living with it for 6 years and waiting to be able to get the truth out. Remember saying that?
Yes.
You also said, I've spoken up for what I've been carrying on my back. Something to that effect. You remember saying that?
Yes.
And you've claimed several times in this proceeding, Mr. Depp, that this trial is your first chance to tell your story, haven't you?
Yes, sir.
But that's just not true, is it, Mr. Depp? That's not true.
No, for me it is true.
Okay, well, here's the thing. The fact is, Mr. Depp, when Dan Wooten wrote an article that was published in The Sun calling you a wife beater,
Mhm.
you brought a lawsuit against The Sun in June of 2018, correct?
Yes, I put.
And that was 6 months before Ms. Heard ever wrote her op-ed, correct?
I don't know.
And in the summer of 2020, there was a several-week trial in London against The Sun, correct?
Ms. Heard was not a party to that trial. Was she?
Not my question, Mr. Depp. In the article that The Sun wrote that you sued over, you sued for Mr. Wooten calling you a wife beater, correct?
Objection asked and answered.
Sustain. Next question.
And in the trial that you subsequently brought, you called a lot of witnesses, right?
I don't know what a lot is. I don't know.
Many people testified on both sides of the trial, correct?
Yes, many people.
And many exhibits were introduced, correct?
Like a trial, yes.
And you, just like in this trial, you were on the stand for several days in that trial, correct?
Yes, sir, I was.
And that trial involved the same factual issues that you are litigating here, which is whether you
Objection
committed
calls
domestic
for
abuse
illegal.
against Amber Heard.
Sustain the objection. Next question.
You brought that case against the Sun because you were angry at the Sun for calling you a wife beater, correct?
Yeah, that's
And you
probably a pretty good reason.
And you went through that trial in London, correct?
I did indeed, yes.
Mr. Depp, you've already had a chance to tell your story, haven't you?
No, there
Objection
were
asked and
great
answered.
limitations in the UK trial.
Okay.
No further questions.
All right. Redirect. Thank you.
Mr. Depp, Mr. Ronborn asked you some questions about the UK trial. Why do you feel that this is the first time that you've actually had an opportunity to tell your story and, as you said, get the load off your back?
As the UK trial was me suing Dan Wooten and the Sun for defamation for calling me a wife beater. The UK have there are different laws, there are different ways they handle things. There are also limitations in evidence. Some things can be brought up, some things cannot be
Your Honor,
brought
as
up.
I said, it calls
Mr.
for legal
Rottenborn.
conclusion. He's talking about limitations in evidence in English.
Your Honor, he's talking about his experience testifying.
Overruled.
He'll be okay. Yes, there is a very, everything is quite boxed in with regard to what can be said, what can be spoken about. So, Ms. Heard provided information to the Sun as their star witness, but the case was not brought against Miss Heard. It was brought against the Sun newspaper, journal, whatever it is.
Mr. Rottenborn referenced that you were on the stand for multiple days.
4.5, I believe, yes.
What was the nature of that examination? Or excuse me, who was conducting that examination of you?
QC Sasha Was,
And whose attorney was that?
the Sun.
Can we please pull up DX 857A?
All right, it's already in evidence, so you can publish it.
Mr. Depp, do you recall seeing this text message when Mr. Rottenborn was questioning you?
Oh, yes, I do.
Can you explain what you're conveying to Mr. Carino in this text message?
I'm in total shock that this is happening to me, that my entire life on the planet has been brought to the head of a pin with all this completely, utterly false information. So I am, when you're accused of horrific acts and things that you have not done, when it's actually some very ugly things that are going out there into the world about you on a nonstop basis by Ms. Heard and her team, you have a tendency as humans to get very, very irate and angry, not to the point where you go out and hurt someone, not to the point even where you assault a cabinet. But you do get irate. You do wonder why this person is doing this to me. So yeah, many things go through your head. And then you've got your family, you've got your kids, you've got your parent. My mom, thankfully, didn't get to read any of this because that would have killed her. But my father, my family, everyone that I've met, the people that have supported me, suddenly I'm scum. Why? Never had to happen. One little lie. So yes, very angry.
Could we please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 821? Mr. Depp, do you recall seeing this text message when Mr. Rottenborn was asking you questions?
Yes, he loves this one, yes.
Yes. Would you care to explain what you're trying to convey in this text message?
Well, Warner Brothers were about to find themselves in quite a dilemma as the person that they had just cast.
Objection, Your Honor. Lack of foundation as to what Warner Brothers knew or thought.
Didn't I meet with them?
All right, we could just wait for the question. I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Mr. Depp, without explaining what Warner Brothers felt, why did you send this text message to your sister? And what were you trying to convey to your sister when you sent this text message?
Honestly, I felt responsibility for having gone to those people and painted such a beautiful picture.
Objection. Hearsay, Your Honor. Now he's talking about what he said to Warner Brothers.
Okay, again, I'm going to pause this with this Wicked Witch of the West on camera. She was a D-list actress. I am going to just roll around in my own grave saying this. Of course, she married an A-list actor that would definitely go to bat for her and get her parts. Now, the way that she carried herself and when she needed to show up and when she needed to act was her responsibility. However, she blew it, honestly. And, I think that some people are trying to honestly preserve some relationships with Johnny Depp. She was a gold digger, in my opinion. And not only was she a gold digger, but she was a life sucking vampire. Ironic so that his rock band is the Hollywood Vampires. So literally, he got with her. She sold him an image of what she was not. And it cost him everything. I understand what he's trying to say. Let's keep going.
Overruled.
Please continue.
Change these.
So, sorry, you can please continue.
Um, I felt it was my responsibility to get the truth to Warner Brothers about what they were going to end up facing down the line, which is two franchises um, uh, that would be causing problems for one another, especially as um, all the any news, any press, any media that came out about me at that time had been turned into, I was Charles Manson, I was the worst thing on earth, and they just kept coming. It was like a nonstop fire. So my responsibility, after having painted a beautiful picture of her for them, was to tell them, I think you better.
Objection, Your Honor. Getting into what he claims he told Warner Brothers or wanted to.
He's saying what he wanted to tell them. He's not saying what he actually told them.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Mr. Depp, you mentioned two franchise films with Warner Brothers. What two franchise films are you referring to?
There was Aquaman and Fantastic Beasts, the one that I was in.
And why did you feel a responsibility with respect to those two franchise films?
Warner Brothers was starting to get quite upset about some of the things that were being said about me in the press that were constant hit pieces. On one level, yes, it's just acting, it's just movies, but it's business and it's your word. And I had given my word to them, and I felt responsible that I had to tell them exactly what was going on, and that it was going to end up ugly.
And which of those two film franchises were you a part of?
I'm sorry.
Which of those two film franchises were you a part of?
I was in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and I was in the Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald.
Could we please pull up DX 883?
Again, I'm going to pause this. So, obviously, in a nutshell, what he's saying is he has a long resume of drawing in a box office. He married somebody that he believed in that could potentially draw in audiences. So, he went to bat for his wife the same way anyone else would just go to bat for their wife. However, due to what was going on with the divorce and all of the other circumstances, he wanted to give them a heads up and was like, hey, this is going to the left. I don't want to be secretive about this. I want to just be upfront. And this BITCH is crazy.
Now, Mr. Depp, do you recall seeing these text messages during Mr. Rottenborn's examination?
Oh, God, yeah. Yes, I remember.
And you didn't seem to recall these text messages, is that fair?
It truly is.
All right, before he gets into this, I am going to say it looks like it's coming from his assistant, Stephen. Again, you can see that this is coming from 2/22/17. And that's in the, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. In the fourth column, you can see that this is coming from Stephen Daughters. He already testified that this is one of his assistants at the time. In the next column, which is the fifth column, is showing you the timestamp. Timestamp is 2/22/17. Mind you, this is after the divorce. In the last column, in the sixth column, these are incoming messages to his phone. And again, incoming messages are messages that he did not send. Incoming means somebody is sending it to you. All right. So this goes back to the DRUGS messages earlier that was put on a stand. And let's just go from here. Okay.
Fair. It's not, no.
Do you have any,
Those, I don't know who Molly is. I don't know nothing about this.
do you have any understanding of what you're referring to in this text message? Or these two text messages?
No. I honestly, if somebody else had borrowed my phone or something and made this text to Stephen, possibly. But I don't understand the. I don't have that kind of. I don't have that kind of hubris or expectation. That's quite grotesque text.
Can we take that down, please? Can we please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 1821? Mr. Depp, do you recognize this document?
That is behind the bar, yes.
Okay. And do you see Mr. Ronborn asked you some questions about whether there was a telephone.
Yes,
in
now
Australia.
I see a telephone there now.
Yes. And did you recall that telephone being there?
I don't recall the telephone being there, but I can see it now.
Can we please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 1820? Do you recall me showing you this text message earlier on? Or excuse me, do you recall
yes,
me showing you this picture
yes.
During your examination?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And I think I asked you whether you recall a phone being mounted on the wall in the left of this picture. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And what was your answer to that?
No.
Mr. Depp, Mr. Ronborn asked you some questions about your honeymoon. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And I believe you had testified that you and Miss Heard were on the Orient Express together.
That's correct, yes.
Where had you been prior to being on the Orient Express?
We had been in Australia, and then made it over to Thailand to catch the Orient Express.
If we could bring up the Plaintiff's Exhibit 162 again. Mr. Depp, do you know who took this picture?
Malcolm Connolly.
And despite what Mr. Rottenborn showed you about the picture of you prior to this, do you see a bruise on your face in this picture?
I see like what looks like a pretty decent shiner.
I am going to pause this because, okay, we have 5 people in this picture. And in the middle is Amber Heard, right next to her, on her, was that the left side of her? If you're, if you're thinking about, if you're standing in this picture, Johnny Depp is on the left of her. He clearly looks like he's actually been through something. She looks like she is on something. Her face does not appear like she does in other photographs. She appears to be very distant and very off. Johnny is staring at the picture, but he appears to be fluffled. Let's just keep going.
And a kind of a scratched up nose, yes.
And do you recall how you got the scratches and the shiner?
There was a very brief freak out that Miss Heard had in our cabin just before this dinner. I can't remember why, but there were many. I remember taking the photograph, though. I mean, I remember being there. I remember meeting the chef and all that. But I mean, the quality of the photo is not great. The quality of the other photo that he showed is just prettied up.
Mr. Depp, did you ever physically abuse Miss Heard during your relationship?
Never. Never.
No further questions.
All right, sir, you can have a seat next to your attorneys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Your next witness. Didn't quite get that, I'm sorry.
Mr. Depp calls Morgan Tremaine.
All right, Morgan Tremaine.
Alrighty, so that wrapped up Johnny Depp's testimony, you guys. He testified to the best of his abilities, answered everything that he could. In that testimony, he tried to tie up loose ends, and I think he did the best that he could do. I don't think he was particularly entrapped in anything but besides that text message that was clearly incoming. I wish that could have been caught by his team on recross examination. But again, we'll just keep going. His look seemed to be genuine. It didn't seem like he was being unnatural or acting about it. He seemed to be like, you know what? I don't know where this came from, but again, you can see that it was incoming. So again, the next one I'm going to play came from the guy from TMZ.
solemnly swear or affirm to testify truthfully in this case and penalty of law?
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Mr. Tremaine.
Hello,
Would you please state your full name for the record?
Morgan Cliff Tremaine.
And what do you do for a living?
I produce esports events and design video games.
And in 2016, what did you do for a living?
I worked as the field assignment manager at TMZ.
What is TMZ?
TMZ is an entertainment news website and television show.
And what were your responsibilities as a field assignment manager for TMZ?
I was the go-between the news desk in the office and the reporters in the field, which you might know as paparazzi.
Approximately how many paparazzis were you in charge of?
At the time, it was about 20 in LA, a handful, maybe 3 in New York, and then 1 in DC.
And what were your responsibilities specifically as to the paparazzi?
It would be to dispatch paparazzi to various locations based on tips or just direction dictated by having a list of sort of hotspots where celebrities would be.
And how were those tips received?
They were received either through tips that we received through our tip line or directly through news producers in the office.
And were tips frequently received directly from sources?
Very often the case, yeah.
And who were the type of sources that TMZ received tips from?
They would receive tips from, oftentimes it would be publicists, managers, agents, or B-list celebrities.
Lawyers?
And lawyers, definitely.
How are tips verified?
Tips are verified by an extensive process. If they come in through our tip line, we have to verify who sent it, that the source is truthful, and so they have to add their contact information, which is a field in that on that website for like name, phone number, things like that.
And how long did that process typically take?
If we receive a tip through the tip line, it could take a while because that would need to be, if it was a tip, we would need to verify it. If it was media, such as photos or videos, that would need to be extensively verified to ensure that the person sending it is the copyright holder and that we would have the legal ability to air it and distribute it.
And while working for TMZ, were you involved in any assignments related to Ms. Heard?
I was.
What was the first time you recall working on an assignment related to Ms. Heard?
I believe it was May 27th, 2016.
All right, I am going to pause it right there because this was one of the hottest testimonies of the day. He was not on a stand that long. However, he gave more of a summary to what happened with Amber and Johnny. Also, he's going to explain what happened with Amber and Johnny and why TMZ was trying to get him to not testify by filing the emergency brief motion.
And what was your role in that assignment?
For that, Ms. Heard was filing a restraining order at a courthouse in downtown Los Angeles. So I dispatched camera people to that location.
Under what circumstances would you normally send paparazzi to a courthouse?
Only if we had been informed prior. It's not by any means a celebrity hotspot. We would only ever send people there if we had been tipped off that something was occurring and there was somebody present there.
And what footage was TMZ trying to capture at the LA courthouse on May 27th, 2016?
We were trying to capture Amber leaving the courthouse and an alleged bruise on the right side of her face.
What was your team of paparazzi supposed to do while they were at the LA courthouse on May 27th, 2016?
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay and foundation.
What were they supposed to do?
Right. She's asking for, I don't think there's a foundational.
I'll overrule the objection at this point.
Go ahead, Mr. Tremaine.
Can you say the question again?
What was your team of paparazzi supposed to do while they were at the Los Angeles courthouse on May 27th, 2016?
Their objective was to capture her leaving the courthouse, and then she was going to sort of stop and turn towards the camera to display the bruise on the right side of her face, the alleged bruise.
Did your team of videographers get the shot of Amber Heard?
We did.
What is the difference between receiving a tip from a news producer and any other source?
If it's any other source, it would have to be verified by copyright. If it was anything that was received directly through a news producer, then they go through that process to verify the source.
Did you do anything to verify the tip on May 27th, 2016 related to Amber Heard?
I did not,
Why not?
because it had come directly from a news producer.
Does that mean it had been verified?
It means that they had verified that tip and deemed that it was credible, and therefore a camera person needed to be dispatched.
After May 27th, 2016, were you involved in any other assignments related to Amber Heard?
Yes.
Can you tell me about those assignments?
The next one would have been August 6th, 2016, where she was giving a deposition.
So what did you do in relation to that tip?
I dispatched camera people to a parking lot adjacent to a law office in which she would be arriving to, so we could get the footage of her arriving for the deposition.
Do you typically send paparazzis to parking lots of law?
Again, this testimony was probably the most explosive of the whole day. He is basically saying that he was dispatched to follow Amber.
Offices?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Did you get the shot of Ms. Heard on August 6th, 2016?
We did.
After August 6th, 2016, were you involved in any other stories involving Ms. Heard?
Yes, I was.
And what story was that?
On the 12th, we received a video depicting Johnny Depp slamming some cabinets that was captured by Ms. Heard.
And what day was that?
I believe that was the August 12th
Of 2016?
of 2016, yes.
Can you describe to the jury how you received the video on August 12th, 2016?
Yes, the video was sent in through our email tip line, which is an email distribution that goes to all the producers and to myself as the field assignment manager, because it often included celebrity locations. It came in as I recall,
Objection, hearsay.
He's just describing how it came in.
I think he's about to reveal hearsay, Your Honor.
I'll overrule for now. We'll see where it goes.
Please continue.
So I received that email, and it included a link from some unknown Dropbox type public website in which it contained that
Objection, Your
video.
Honor, hearsay. He's about to describe what comes from the Dropbox website, and that's.
So far, he just said was a link from the Dropbox. We'll see the next question. Go ahead, next question.
So you received a link. What was in that link?
In that link was the video of Johnny Depp smashing the cabinets.
And you received this video in your inbox, correct?
I did.
What did you do once you received that video?
We downloaded it. We alerted the web editor who was sitting next to me at the time. We downloaded it, and then were instructed by the news producer to do what we call slap bumpers and a bug on it, which is putting the dun 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 at the beginning end, and then putting a translucent watermark over it, which indicates copyright ownership.
After you did that, was it posted?
It was posted, yes.
Where was it posted?
It was posted to tmz.com.
Busted.
Did you do anything else related to Amber Heard on August 12th, 2016?
Yes, I received a tip that Amber Heard would be arriving at LAX, and so I dispatched camera people to film that exit, or her arrival to LAX, rather.
And why did you do that?
I was instructed to.
How long does it take to post a story after media's been received by TMZ?
After media's been received, it could take any length of time depending on who owns the copyright.
How does TMZ obtain copyright over images and videos?
The only way to obtain copyright over media would be if we shot it ourselves, if it was sent to the tip line, source verified that it was from the original copyright owner, and then either purchased from that person or given to us. And then the third option would be if it was directly given to us by the copyright holder, like a direct source.
And how long does it take to copyright something TMZ has received through the tip line?
It can take a while because you have to extensively verify that that person owns the copyright. And then possibly, it depends also if you can even get in contact with the person because they might not be super responsive immediately via phone or email that they provided. And then potentially you'd have to enter a negotiation with our clips and clearances department to figure out the cost of that media.
How long does it take for TMZ to obtain a copyright over something received directly from a source?
Something in the realm of 15 minutes just to do what I described before, which is putting bumpers and a bug on something and write the article and post it. It's pretty fast.
How much time had passed from the time you received the kitchen cabinet video to the time it was posted on TMZ?
About 15 minutes.
Oh my God.
Did any other tabloids other than TMZ post this video?
No,
Objection, leading and it calls for hearsay.
Did any other tabloids? Mr. Tremaine, go ahead.
No, they did not.
And why not?
Because it was a TMZ exclusive.
And what does that mean?
It means the TMZ owns the copyright to it. So it can't be distributed by any other media source without backlinking to TMZ, and they wouldn't be able to upload that media without getting a copyright strike.
Have you seen the kitchen cabinet video that was played in this trial?
I have, yes.
How does that video that was played in this trial compare to the one you received on August 12, 2016?
When I had clicked the direct link that we received and watched the video in its entirety, it was much shorter than the video we had received, than the video that's been played in this trial. There was a bit at the beginning that was played here in which Ms. Heard is seemingly sort of setting up the camera and getting into position. And then there's a bit at the end where she's seemingly sniggering and looks at the camera. That part was not present in what we received.
Did TMZ edit the video?
No, not even a little. When we receive something and it's edited, there's a clear indicator because there's sort of a journalistic practice that uses when there's an edit, you do what's called like a white flash transition, which covers the entire screen with white to very clearly indicate to everybody there was an edit here for time or whatever, just to make it a little more compelling. But in this case, it was not edited as I was staring at the machine that edited it and present for the entirety of receipt to publishing.
When was the next time you worked on an assignment related to Amber Heard?
It was, well, there was
I'm going to pause this right here because even though the cabinet video showed Johnny Depp getting really mad, it really did not show Johnny Depp doing anything to Amber. I know that this was shocking at the time because we typically did not see Johnny Depp in this type of situation. I'm sure it got a lot of clicks for TMZ. However, it didn't get as far as I don't know.
the time where we went to the airport. And then the day after that, because she had flown in for the deposition, like I think the first time didn't work out. So she was arriving again for the deposition in that same parking lot adjacent to a law office.
And what's that, August 13th, 2016?
That was August 13th, yeah.
And what was your assignment on August 13th, 2016?
To dispatch camera people to that parking lot at a specific time in order to film Amber Heard arriving for the deposition.
How did you know that tip was legitimate?
It came from a news producer.
While you worked at TMZ, did you ever receive any communications from Mr. Depp or his camp?
I just,
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Cross-examination?
Yes. So how do you know what video was shown at this trial?
I was alerted by a friend that, that TMZ was being kind of talked about in this trial, and so I had seen a clip of that.
So you watched some of this trial?
Correct.
Okay. When did you first reach out to counsel for Mr. Depp?
I believe that was 6 days ago, whatever that date would be, I'd have to do that.
All right. And then you received a subpoena, I think yesterday, in care of your attorney Cindy Hickox, right?
Correct.
Okay. And Cindy Hickox represents Christy Dombrowski, Kate James, Robin Baum. and
Objection,
Debbie
Your
Ward.
Honor.
Were you aware of
Calls for
that?
speculation.
Overruled. Were you aware of that?
No.
Now, if you don't have information that's helpful to this case, then you wouldn't be a witness, correct?
Objection, calls for speculation.
Sustained, next question.
I'm not aware.
Okay, you know this case is being televised, right?
I am aware that there are cameras.
And so this gets you your 15 minutes of fame. doesn't it?
Objection, Your Honor, argumentative.
I can ask that question.
Overruled.
So I stand to gain nothing from this. I'm actually putting myself kind of in the target of TMZ, a very litigious organization, and I'm not seeking any 15 minutes here. Though you're welcome to speculate. I could say the same thing by taking Amber Heard as a client for you.
A little argumentative, don't you think?
Oh, hardly. I find that to be purely logical. Thank you.
Now, are you aware that Mr. Depp's attorneys were well aware?
Savage. Savage. This was the t-shirt moment of the day. Savage.
Of the TRO that was going to be presented on May 27th?
Objection, calls for speculation.
Were you aware of that?
Lack of foundation.
Overruled if you can answer it.
Can you restate the question?
Were you aware that Mr. Depp's divorce attorneys were aware that Amber Heard was going in to see the TRO on May 27th?
I don't think I understand the question. I don't think so, no.
Okay. Do
Kind of a
you
complicated
know whether Blair Burke, one of Mr. Depp's divorce attorneys, had a very close relationship with TMZ at that time?
Objection, calls for speculation.
Overruled. If he knows.
I was not aware of that.
Okay, and when you said that you were dispatched twice, once to film Amber in the parking lot for the deposition, and then it didn't work out, and so you had to do it another time, how did you know it didn't work out?
Because TMZ.com posted an article saying as much.
Okay.
No, I was not dispatched.
Do you
I
know
worked in the
why the deposition did not work out?
I'd have to reference the article, I forget.
So do you?
I didn't write that story. I wasn't involved in the
Do
actual
you know
journalism of that.
which side would have known or not known whether that deposition was going to work out? In other words, the people representing Mr. Depp or the people representing Ms. Heard?
I wouldn't know.
Okay. And then the video clip, you don't know who provided that, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Not testifying to
I have
that.
no further.
All right, redirect.
Mr. Tremaine, why did you contact me in relation to this case?
I saw that there was a discrepancy with like the video that was shown here and the video that I know I had received. So I had no interest in testifying. I had reached out simply to maybe try to help with the timeline of things or help with the case in any way, just by virtue of understanding the timeline of the stories that were published and kind of how that can be unclear. But I had no idea I'd be on the stand.
Nothing further. Thank you.
All right, sir, you're free to go.
Thank
Thank you. All right. You have another witness? Okay.
Savage. That was savage. That was savage. Amber Heard clearly was trying to get press from this. If you want to look at who you could point a finger to, Amber or Johnny, to call TMZ about this hot mess, it would be Amber. Johnny Depp had nothing to gain by himself or his team calling TMZ to film Amber in any of the instances in which would make him look bad. Honestly. I mean, it doesn't take much to understand that. Amber Heard definitely was trying to gain more notoriety with that. Also, at this point, I wish it could have been more indulged on what parts of the video was actually cut out. I hope that the full video would be put up. I'm going to try to go back to the TMZ archives from 2016 and see if I can find the full video that they got, because for him to say that it was edited and you couldn't see everything, I think that we should definitely look at that. Now, I've been in here for about 2.5 hours. Please like, share, subscribe. Thank you for coming to Love Nation tonight as I try to examine all these pieces in this case. The last person up, and I'm going to try to make this short, I'm going to just show a little bit of his testimony, I believe is the metadata guy. So I'm going to fast forward and try to find that really quickly for you guys because I've been up all day and I'm very tired. Let me see if I can find the meta. Okay.
From then on, I've been working professionally in photography. They have a huge database on anything from microwave technology to telephone transmission technology. Anything that I might work with, they might have a white paper on it. Also, software programs.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to show Mr. Neumeister's demonstrative plaintiff's exhibit 13 of.
Okay, I pause this for a specific reason. No, he does not have a college degree, but yes, he has been doing technology for like, I think he said 43 years. I've actually had to do a metadata search for something personal, and I'm going to tell you that there are websites that will show you the metadata. He came off as very good to describe, um, if a digital picture is fake or not. I'm glad that this type of digital footprint has been added to digital data. Anybody can find this out for themselves. And if you are able to follow along with what he say, you can actually take a selfie with your iPhone and then change it around a little bit and look at the original metadata and the changed metadata using a program in Mac or iPhones, and it will show you exactly what he is talking about. This testimony was actually legit. I know that from personal experience.
Three. All right. Any other objection?
I would object again, Your Honor, because the photograph in 170A is not in evidence. Or, yeah, I mean, the photograph is in evidence. None of the photographs he wishes to show the jury are in evidence.
1303 is in evidence over objection. Not in evidence, I'm sorry, as a demonstrative. Just as a demonstrative, I'm sorry. Can we go to publishing those very please? And Mr. Neumeister, what does this demonstrative show about the photos that you analyzed?
Well, they appear to be similar. However, if you look below at the file sizes, one on the left is 712 kilobytes. The one in the middle is 489 kilobytes. And the one on the right is 524 kilobytes. Now, what's unusual about that is these photos will not digitally fingerprint with each other. They won't hash. In other words, forensically, they don't match. But the thing is, you could say, well, it was sent through email. Maybe it's a different size. The file sizes, for example, would be possibly, you can select the file size, you send a photo, but there's no way to authenticate any photo that was presented in the way the evidence was collected.
And so what conclusions do you draw from that?
Well, this is just three of many of the same type of photos that are all different sizes and have different chromatic, which means color.
Objection, Your Honor. We just had a ruling on this.
All right, sustained objection. Mr. Neumeister, stick to your opinions that relate specifically to what you analyzed about the EXIF data, please.
All three of these photos had to go through some type of transformation to change sizes.
I'm going to pause this for my viewers. What he is saying is actually correct. I've actually had to do a metadata photo thing, even before this trial started on my own. What he's saying is true. The original photo will have a different metadata basis versus one that you had to correct, send. Look, not send, I'm sorry. If you change the original photo that was taken, it will look different with the metadata if it's changed. Basically, that's what he said. I'm going to let a few more minutes of his testimony play, and then I'm just going to come back with my ending thoughts because this is the longest live I have done, and I am extremely tired. But I want to do this recap, and there was a lot of pertinent information in here. But again, what he's saying is actually true.
We can take that one down. You mentioned Photos 1.5 and Photos 3.0 earlier, I believe.
Photos.
What is that?
Photos 3 and Photos 1.5 are editing programs that Macintosh or Apple put out with their product. It's for editing photos. In other words, you would put a photo in and you would change the colors, or you would crop it, or you would clarify it by enhancing, for example, the sharpening, or you could darken it. But when you save a photo through an editing program, you leave a mark on the EXIF data.
And what is the EXIF data?
The EXIF data is the data that is embedded in a photograph that tells you a lot about the photograph. And again, in the early days when we were using film cameras, you would write down the f-stop, which is the light setting. You would write the type of lens you use, the time of day, the type of film stock, the type of filters you're using. Now with digital cameras, that's done electronically, and there's about 1,000 lines of code, of which 50 are probably important, that tell you what the camera was doing.
This is extremely important. Again, I've had to do this, and this was the most damning testimony of the day. He is literally saying true facts. You can do this yourself. Take a selfie, go to I don't remember the website. There's a generic website you can use to just look at the metadata. You can actually import your selfie, the original selfie. It will tell you what time you took it, the date, the conditions, and all that. All that stuff will be put on there. And then go to your phone's filters and just change it. And like I said, you can do this on your own. This is something you can do at home. And when you change it, it's going to change all of those settings. Now, the key thing is when you look at the metadata from the first original and you look at the metadata from what you changed, it will change the code in the metadata. This was extremely important. And this testimony was probably the drop the mic moment. What he said was true. You can do this on your own phone, okay? This is not something fancy. Everybody got an iPhone or Android at this point. All you have to know is the computer code names when you change it and what metadata sites to go to. So you can just import a generic picture even of your dog, and then go back into the filters, blah blah blah, change different things, and then read the code for the one you changed. It's completely different, and it will follow what he is saying. What he's saying is 110% true.
So what's the significance of EXIF data in your photo analysis?
Well, in this situation, I can see that normally where the operating system of the camera would be, which means the version that of operating system the phone is running on, it would normally say something like, I'll just throw out an arbitrary number, 9.1.3 operating system for iOS, which is Apple's iPhone operating system. Instead of saying that, it says software Photos 3.0 or Photos 1.0. That means that the photo had to be rendered, which means composited together in an editing program.
Did you prepare a demonstrative that shows some of your analysis of some of the EXIF data of the photos in this case?
Yes, I did.
Okay, can we pull up 1304, please? Your Honor, may I approach? You okay? Permission to publish as a demonstrative, Your Honor. Any objection? Any objection, Mr.
I'm sorry,
Murphy?
Your Honor. My
She was just to
co-counsel's talking.
publish
I'm
it
so sorry.
as a demonstrative.
No objections to demonstrative.
All right, thank you. We'll publish it as 1304, just as a demonstrative. And Mr. Newmeister, are these images in this demonstrative excerpts from the report you prepared in this case?
Yes, they are.
And what do they show?
On this particular photo and on all of them, it shows the first few lines of EXIF data, the ones that would be most important for this photograph. So, for example, things you would see, the very top line would be the make of phone. It's an Apple iPhone 6. And then the resolution is 72 pixels per inch, 72 to 1. And instead, where it says software on a normal iPhone photo, it would, instead of saying photos 3, it would say the software version, for example, 9.3.1. And then you've got the date and the time of the photo below that, and which is really easy to change in an EXIF editor. And below that, you have things like the like the flash. You've got the exposure type, how long the exposure was. So what you just highlighted there again was the date and time. So that's universal time code minus whatever area you're in the world.
Anything else you want to show us with this demonstrative?
Yeah, just below that, if you look, there's some things that would say, for example, a directly photographed image that is not going to be necessarily accurate once it's been through an editor. It will always pretty much say that. So when you're looking at scene type or auto exposure, these are things that really don't matter all that much. What would matter is, for example, if you're taking notes, the focal length would be important. The pattern of metering, things like that to a photographer would be important. And again, this is just a few lines, and the reason I put these in there was just to explain a bit what EXIF data is. The actual thing I'm trying to point out is the fact that instead of an operating system, it shows the...
Again, I'm going to pause this. This exodata, what he's showing is true. You can put a photo in there and you can see there's a long list of things you can pull out of a photo. Literally, how you get this data in a nutshell is just take a normal selfie, snap it, then take that picture and just change it a little bit, change the light settings, add stuff to it, etc., etc. What'll happen is basically you look at the original picture that's saved in your phone and then compare that to the metadata of what was changed. It's a completely different ball game. It'll tell you that it is not the original picture. It'll tell you what program was used to change it. All of the aspects are different. So basically, also, just tell you guys, and again, you can do this at home. If you know computer coding, there are specific coding if it's an original picture. There's a different coding if the picture was changed. That's basically the takeaway from this. I'm going to play just probably another minute and come back with my closing thoughts. And again, look at this picture. You can do this at home. You can do this on your own time. You can try this, and it's like you have to find like that I don't know what the website is, but There is actually a free EXO metadata website that you can put a picture in, and you can do the before original and then the after. You can look at how the specs change. You can do this with any picture, period. Each picture has a footprint.
The editing program that was used on this photo.
Are there additional photos that you did this analysis for?
Yes, many.
Can we scroll to the next page, please, Tom? Is there anything about this photo that you noted as part of your analysis, Mr. Newmeister?
Yes, again, it's right there, you got photos 3.0 on that particular photo. And I think, we pretty much covered what the stuff is, but again, you see
Again, I'm pausing this so everybody can see this. I don't know all of the specs, like down to like the expert analysis, but you can see that it says XO absolute, times 0.0026. It tells you the length, the make, the model, the orientation, the resolution on the X and Y axis, the resolution unit, software, date, time, and exit offset. Okay. Now this says the absolute, it says it was on the Apple iPhone 6. It's also giving you the date and the time. This was 5/21 on 2016 at 21:22. So what would that be? 9:22, I think. I think that's 9:22 and 24 seconds.
photos 3.0. And again, this could not come out of an iPhone this way. This would go into a computer, be edited and rendered through the photo editor. And this would then be embedded in the EXIF data.
Do you have other photos in this demonstrative?
Yes.
All right, can we scroll to the next page?
Same thing. You've got up here in the top, you've got the photos 3.0, and this.
Okay, now I'm going to pause.
Is
try to wait.
Throughout.
Let me try to go back a few seconds so you can see the difference. Okay.
The evidence was collected.
And so what conclusions do you draw from that?
Well, this is. Unusual about that is these photos. Well, in this situation, I can see that normally where the operating system of the camera would be, which means the version that of operating system the phone is running on, it would normally say something like, I'll just throw out an arbitrary number, 9.1.3 operating system for iOS, which is Apple's iPhone.
Shoot, I'm trying
Specifics.
to go
I'm going to go straight to specifics.
back.
Okay.
I want to show y'all that information that came up. With the before and after EXO data.
Software programs.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to show Mr. Neumeister's demonstrative plaintiff's exhibit 1303. All right, any other objection?
I would object again, Your Honor, because the photograph in 170A is not in evidence.
All right.
Or, yeah, I mean, the photograph is in evidence. None of the photographs use wishes to show the jury are in evidence.
1303 is in evidence over objection. Not in evidence, I'm sorry, as demonstrative. Just as a demonstrative, I'm sorry. Can we go to publishing as jury, please? And Mr. Neumeister, what is this demonstrative?
Wait, we just saw this.
Which is the light setting. You would write the type of lens you use, the time of day, the type of film stock, the type of filters you're using. Now with digital cameras.
I apologize, you guys. I'm trying to get back to that before and after data. So I apologize. I'm not finding the right spot.
That's done electronically. And there's about 1,000 lines of code, of which 50 are probably important, that tell you what the camera was doing.
So what's the significance of EXIF data in your photo analysis?
Well, in this situation, I can see that normally where the operating system of the camera would be, which means the version that the operating system the phone is running on, it would normally say something like, I'll just throw out an arbitrary number, 9.1.3 operating system for iOS, which is Apple's iPhone operating system. Instead of saying that, it says software, Photos 3.0 or Photos 1.0. That means that the photo had to be rendered, which means composited together in an editing program.
Did you prepare a demonstrative that shows some of your analysis of some of the EXIF data of the photos in this case?
Yes, I did.
Okay, can we pull up 1304, please? Your Honor, may I approach? You okay? Permission to publish as a demonstrative, Your Honor. Any objection? Any objection, Mr.
I'm sorry, Your
Murphy?
Honor.
She wishes to publish it as a demonstrative.
No objections to demonstrative.
All right, thank you. We'll publish it as 1304, just as a demonstrative. And Mr. Newmeister, are these images in the?
And again, I apologize. I was trying to rewind back to the part before he marked it up. So basically, this EXIF data is data you get when you have an original photo. The original photo has a lot of key markers that show you that it's an original. When you have the original photo, the EXO data that you can look up will give specific computer markings that say, okay, this is the real one, first one, or whatever. And before that picture is carried over to another whatever, the data changes. It'll show you, like, okay, this was moved, this is what was changed, and it's different. Okay, so that's basically what he said. So basically, in a nutshell, Amber Heard presented information in the pictures that was changed. That's basically what he was saying. And I am honing in on this because it's different.
This demonstrative excerpts from the report you prepared in this case.
Yes, yeah.
And what do they show?
On this particular photo and on all of them, it shows the first few lines of EXIF data, the ones that would be most important for this photograph. So, for example, things you would see, the very top line would be the make of phone. It's an Apple iPhone.
I'm going to pause this so you guys can look.
6.
Because my computer's about to run out of battery. I've been on here for almost 3 hours. It's about to run out of battery. So I'm going to show this and then I'm going to end this live.
And then the resolution is 72 pixels per inch, 72 to 1. And instead, where it says software on a normal iPhone photo, it would, instead of saying Photos 3, it would say the software version, for example, 9.3.1. And then you've got the date and the
Note the date and time was 2016, May 21st, 2124, which this might not be correct, but this might be 934.
time of the photo below that, and which is really easy to change in an EXIF editor. And below that, you have things like the like the flash. You've got the exposure type, how long the exposure was. So what you just highlighted there again was the date and time. So that's universal time code minus whatever area you're in the world.
Anything else you want to show us with this demonstrative?
Yeah, just below that, if you look, there's some things that would say, for example, a directly photographed image, that is not going to be necessarily accurate once it's been through an editor. It will always pretty much say that. So when you're looking at scene type or auto exposure, these are things that really don't matter all that much. What would matter is, for example, if
Okay, so I am going to have to log off now, you guys. My computer is really low. I don't have my battery charger. What I basically want to say in a nutshell, just to make a summation, Johnny Depp really came back pretty strong on his testimony today. I think he was able to do as much as he could do with the experts, the psychologists, the metadata, the TMZ ex-employee. He was able to really fight back hard on what happened with him and Amber to dispel a lot of stuff. He had definitive things. I think that everybody there was genuine in what they presented. And I definitely want to hear you guys' opinion. Thank you to everybody in Love Nation. I want to hear your comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also, leave a comment, hit a thumbs up, click notifications, and please become a Love Nation family member. So, I'm sorry, I've been going for almost 3 hours. My battery is low, but I just want to say again, I'm humbled. You came to my broadcast. You guys like, share, and subscribe. Share your opinions. And until next time, bye, Love Nation. Love you guys. Bye and be safe.